Welcome back, everybody. Today is July 2nd of 2020, and this is episode 18 of What is on My Desk. So this month's update is going to be pretty full, actually. I've got quite a bit done on the models. We'll get over there in a second. There's going to be a bit of a twist. One of them I'm not going to show you today, and I'll explain to it once we get over to the desk. But as I said, we'll go over the progress of the 4 kits I have, as well as a few new products. I have 2 new models and three no decal sheets that came through this month. So I will be going over those briefly and get that over with. And yeah, so let's get this started. And as always, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. So here we are, folks, back at the desk. We'll take a look at some of the progress I have going on here. First off, the F-18. I do have quite a bit of progress on the F-18. However, I am not going to actually show you what it looks like right now. I will put a picture up. This is the picture right here. This is what it looked like after I got the first coat of paint on it. I'm not going to do any more than that right now, just because I am building it for a client and I do not want him to see this until it's completed. So just in case he happens to stumble onto my YouTube channel, I don't want him to see the progress I've made on this kit. So it is effectively at the same state as all of the other kits. It is decaled, it actually is weathered, and it is flat coated. So at this point, all I really have left to do on it is a little tiny bit of I'm going to do a little bit of exhaust staining and some gun smoke from the nose gun. So a little bit of that, and then it's going to be time to effectively pull the masks and assemble the last of the bits and pieces that need to go onto it and get it mounted to the base, and then it is finished. So it is on the home stretch, but like I said, I do not want to show anybody what that looks like at the moment. So we will move on. Next up, we have the P47. So here's the P47. As you can see, it is painted, it is decaled. I have sealed the decals, so it has been clear coated with the Alclad clear. I'm going to leave it in this somewhat glossy scheme, as I'm pretty sure it would have been a little glossy back in the day in the war. So this is going to have minimal weathering. I'm going to do a little bit from the guns, just a little bit of gun blast coming across the wing, as it would have been a combat bird. You would have seen that. I'm going to do a little bit in the exhaust side of things, a little bit back here, a couple from coming up front. Nothing too much. I am going to do a little bit of the I have these weathering effects I picked up. I'll have a quick talk about these a little later in the video, but I do have these weathering washes. So I'm going to do a little bit of weathering washes here and there on the aircraft, as you would see a bit of oil staining, a bit of fuel stains, and whatnot, stuff that would normally be seen in a wartime aircraft. So other than that, as I said, it's coming right along. It's looking good. So a little bit of weathering, just a hair of weathering on it. I'll be able to pull the masking off on this soon, because it is not getting a flat coat. And then other than that, it's just going to be putting the little things on, the wheels, the landing gear, the doors, the cowling. The cowling is also completed. It has a gloss coat on it, so you can see there what it's going to look like when it's all assembled. A bit of a colorful bird going on here. But as I said, it is all caught up. It is all done. So it looks really good. So I'm going to, like I said, get this assembled. I only have a few minor things left to do that I have to paint on this. I have effectively, the fuel tank I haven't done yet, but that's just going to be done in standard aluminum from Vallejo, so that's got to get done up and then glued on with the braces and everything. So some minor little things left to do, but I'm not too worried about it. The vast majority of the work is done, and it's just going to be assembling and pulling the masking. So next up, the T-6II, also basically at the same level as the P47. It is decaled. I have the finished gloss coat on it again. I'm going to leave this one a slightly glossy side, as the real aircraft would have been slightly glossy. The only real thing I have left to do on this right now, I do need to paint a flat black anti-glare panel. So I just need to do a quick mask off of the front, do a quick black. I'll probably do that when I do the weathering exhaust staining, I can paint that black first and then thin down the black paint for the exhaust staining. I am going to add a little bit of exhaust staining on this one, as the real birds are pretty dirty, but just being a darker color, you don't see as much of the dirt from a distance, but when you do get up close, you do see quite a bit of grime and dirt. So I'm going to do just a little tiny bit of exhaust staining on it, and other than that, I'm not going to do too much to it. But yeah, so it's coming right along. Pretty soon I can pull these masks off. Same with the canopy. It's pretty much as finished as is. So I can get that all pulled off and start figuring out how I'm going to glue the canopy open on that. So it's coming right along. Other than that, it's just gluing on landing gear doors, brakes, props. I need to do the prop tips still. I haven't done that yet. So there are some minor little things I have to do, but nothing too crazy. And it is coming along quite nicely. And last up is the Stuka. So I have actually finished the Stuka decal, and I have done the whitewash. You get an idea here of what it was going to look like with the whitewash on it. We're from the Arctic, so it would have been painted in this whitewash, which is more of a water-based paint. And then as it was used in service, that paint would have worn off in the high points, and that's effectively what I was going for. I just painted it with white acrylic paint and then wiped it down. And then I went along with a micro brush and I cleaned up around the decals where they wouldn't have painted the whitewash to begin with, and just gave it that interesting kind of look. And then things like along here where the windwalk area was worn down a bit more. There's a few little areas here where the handholds where I've worn down a bit more. I got to put some black wash inside those handholds just to make them pop. Otherwise, it has turned out nice. So this one here, again, I'm not going to go do too much weathering on it because the whitewash would have been over top of a lot of the overall stuff. So it only would have had effectively a few months of grime and buildup on it. I am going to do a bit of exhaust staining over top of the whitewash, which I'll do at the end. And other than that, I think on the bottom, because the bottom did not get whitewashed, I'm going to go along and do some oil stains and whatnot coming out of some of the engine components up front. But I'm not going to do too much on it. The one thing I do need to figure out still is where, because I haven't done that yet, is where the fuel tank is located. I know it looks like there's one in the fuselage. I just can't tell if there was a fuel tank in the wings. I have to figure that out, because if there would have been, I need to do a bit of weathering around that, because that's where you would have had fuel leakage, which really would have worn back and stained the whitewash. So I got to do a bit of research on that to get the weathering right. Otherwise, it is effectively done. So a little bit of weathering on this, some exhaust staining, a little bit of like oil and fuel staining on it, and then I'll flat coat this, and once it gets a shot of flat coat, then I can start pulling the masks off. So this is coming along quite nicely. Very, very happy with how it turned out. It definitely looks the part of a weathered, aged, Eastern Front looking Stuka. So I'm very, very happy with the way it turned out. So that is the progress on the 4 kits. Hopefully by next month, these will be, if not completed, then at the very, very end of their build cycle, and then hopefully either in the August or the September update, you'll start to see what the next 4 kits I'm building are, which, to be honest, I have no idea. So on that note, if anybody out there has any ideas of what I should build next, if you head over to my webpage, seans-aviation.com, in the model section under my models, I have a list of all the kits I have, including the ones I haven't started. I am planning to update that with all of the newer kits I have purchased, so I'll have that updated relatively soon. But go through there, see what you guys want. If you have any comments or ideas of what you want to see me build, put it down in the comment sections. Otherwise, I'll probably do what I usually do and create a quick poll on the Aircraft Resource Center website and see if anybody in the forums can give me a decision, because I hate picking. I want to build everything, but I never really know what to choose. So I'll have to come up with a bit of a I don't know. I have no idea. Anyways, if you have anything, leave it in the bottom. So that's it for the update on the models. Let's swing over here and we will take a quick look at some of the new products that I have. So here we are. It's, I don't even know the date anymore, June 21st, I guess. So this, I am filming this now just as usual so I can get these kits, or this kit, put away and get it out of my desk area. The one new product, well, right now anyways, but maybe I'll get some more between the time of now and when I actually put this video together. So the new product I have to show you today is the Italeri Hurricane Mark 1. It's not new to the market, but it's new to me. So I will be doing a quick talk about it now. I'm going to do a full review on this kit in a little bit. I'll have that video posted here soon. So if you want to see the full kit review to this, go to my playlist, check out the kit review playlist, and this should be the first one that is included on that playlist. So this is the Italeri, as I said, Hurricane Mark 1. It is the 1/48 scale. Let's see if I can find a date on here. This kit, I don't even know if it's going to have a date on it. I believe it's in the 2000... doesn't have a date anywhere. So it's relatively new. It's all new tooled. So Italeri went ahead and retooled a brand new version of this kit. It's effectively the same kit as the 1/48 scale Sea Hurricane I just recently finished. You can see a picture of it here when it was all done. So it's effectively the same model. This is the Mark 1 version, whereas that was the Sea Hurricane. So there's some minor parts differences between the two of them. But otherwise, it is roughly the same kit. So all the same issues from that old kit are going to carry over to this kit. So you get a very extensive decal sheet, as you can see. Italeri is getting good at including quite a few markings in their kits. The plastic itself, like as I said, similar to that Sea Hurricane. Lots of nice detail. Panel lines are nice and crisp. Includes a small photo etch sheet that includes the seat belts and the instrument panel if you so choose to use it. It does include a full Merlin engine. If it's anything like my Sea Hurricane, that molded engine is going to turn out looking absolutely disgusting. So I'll have to wait and see how this goes together before I make a decision on whether I'm going to use it or not. But overall, it's pretty good. The instrument panel itself is not anything. It's a decal. So the instrument panel itself, the backing is pretty bland. So you put the decal on it, then you have the choice of using the photo etch or not. So overall, nice kit. If you'd like to see how it builds up, take a chance, take a look at that Sea Hurricane build I did. It does include 5 different schemes, 6 different marking schemes. So the first one, LEA, RAF number 242 Squadron, Flying Officer Willie McKnight from December of 1940. He did fight in the Battle of Britain with this aircraft. I am actually going to do it up as this one because this 242 Squadron was a Canadian squadron, or one of the Canadian squadrons early in the war. And this one was flown by, as I said, Willie McKnight, and Vintage Wings of Canada as Mark 12 is being restored in these markings. And it's an interesting scheme. It's got the black and the sky, or it's actually duck egg blue, duck egg green, but it's got the duck egg and sky black on the bottom. It's got the brown and green camo. He had a death emblem with the sickle. You can see the little skull and crossbones there, the 2 death emblems. They were painted on the sides of his fuselage, and the nose has the boot kicking Hitler in the ass. So both of those were painted on the nose of the aircraft. The decal sheet is a little vague. I think they're trying to purposely make Hitler not look like Hitler to try to get around some of the rules they have in some of the European countries about Nazism. But it's still going to look pretty cool when it's done. So that's the first option. Option 2, number 151 Squadron, the American Eagle Squadron. So this was flown by Pilot Officer J. Haviland in October of 1940. So this would have been as the Eagle Squadron, the Americans who flew in the RAF early in the war. Third version is RAF number 605, Squadron Leader Ashmore McKellar in November of 1940. So both of these are both the dark earth and dark green over sky. Well, this one's duck egg, this one's sky, so some variations in the lower color. Sky and duck egg are very close to the same color. This one here, version D, 303 Polish Squadron, so it's got the Polish Squadron emblem underneath the cockpit. And this was flown by, I'm not even going to pronounce that, try to Flight Officer Ubanovich, I guess, Ubanovich, September of 1940. Again, this is the green and earth over sky. The final scheme, which is very interesting, which is something I would actually be interested in doing if I hadn't chosen to do Willie McKnight's scheme, is number 69 Squadron, based in Malta in 1941. And it initially would have been the Middlestone and Dark Earth over Sky, the desert scheme, sorry, over Azure Blue. Middlestone, Dark Earth over Azure Blue. However, being on Malta and the Mediterranean, most of the fuselage was painted in the Azure Blue color, which was just kind of be an interesting take on how it would have been. And again, decal sheet beautifully done. Oh, sorry, last version I didn't talk about. Version F, Irish Air Corps 1st Fighter Squadron, Ireland, 1943. So again, dark earth, dark green over sky. However, being effectively the Irish Air Force, you've got the Irish logos on the upper wings and whatnot. So you can see here the Irish logos that they would have used. So you do have quite an extensive sheet, lots of nice stencils. The stencils for the prop are especially nice. The rotal prop that they would have used had nice big decal markings on it, which they include. So you have a flat black prop with this high gloss decal in front of it. Going to be a bit tricky to pull that off, but I'll find a way to make it look good. Experience from the Sea Hurricane has told me that these red decals they use over the gun covers actually go on quite nice. I am a fan of these Italori. They're printed by Cartograph, so they are a decent decal. They go down very, very nice. These seem to be quite glossy and thick compared to others. I'm a little worried about how glossy these look. But I mean, considering I usually do a flat coat, they should turn out quite nice. And then the instrument panels here, you can see the difference. So if you're going to use just a decal, you use this decal here. And if you're going to use a photo etch, you lay down this decal first and then place the photo etch over it. And all the instrument faces will show through the photo etch part and give just a little bit of depth to it. So very, very nice decal sheet. Very impressed with this kit. So as I said, if you would like to see more of a full review, take a look at the end of this video. I will have a link. Actually, in the description, sorry, in the description of this video down below, I will have a link to the model review playlist, and this will be the first video in that. I'm going to do some more in-depth reviews of these kits as I get them. So that's the new kit, and let's continue. So here we go, another quick product I did receive in time for this update. I actually didn't plan on getting this. It wasn't something that I purchased and was waiting to show up. I swung by the hobby shop for a few items. I'll actually talk about the two items I did go for. So they are Vallejo weathering effects. Now I've seen some stuff of this online, and it's something I've wanted to try for a while, and I decided to try today. So these come in multiple different types of colors and types. This one here is they're the engine line. So there's also ones for figures and there's ones for landscapes. These are for the engine lines. So I've got brown engine soot and oil stains. And the main reason I got these were because those two colors are colors that you would normally see on an aircraft. And I plan to try them out on the F-18 model. Specifically along the belly where you have a lot of hydraulic fluid and oil leaks. So I'm going to give these a shot. So if you do want to see how they turn out, take a look in the next couple of weeks when I get my time lapse for that F-18. It will be the first one I do, so I'll get it put it up first in the next couple of weeks. It's almost done, so hopefully soon, and you'll get to take a look and see how those work out. In the future, if I like the way they turn out, I may do another quick video, how-to video, tips and tricks on how to operate with these. But first I want to test it out on that F-18, see if I like them, and go from there. So I went to the hobby shop specifically to pick up these guys to give that a little bit of weathering. And while I was there, I went through the used wall, as I usually do, just to see, you know, what they happen to have. And I found something that has been on my want list for a while. And that is a 1/48 scale A26 Invader, the Douglas A26 Invader. So this is the monogram boxing. It's a few years old. I believe this even goes back to the 90s, 1993. So it's one of Monogram's later models. Most of Monogram's models came out in the 70s and 80s, really. Things like the B-17, the B-24, the B-29, all those came out in the 70s and 80s. So this is one of their later kits that they came out with. It does suffer from some of the normal Monogram issues. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this review. I'm going to start I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. I'm going to be starting a new series on this, a new bunch of videos. I'm going to be doing actual kit reviews, some in-depth look at some of the kits I have. So I'm not going to be going as in-depth on these What's on My Desk videos. I do plan to do one on the A26 model. So again, keep your eyes out for the next couple of weeks. I'll have it posted on the Facebook page. When I get it up, I will be posting a link to an in-depth review of this kit, showing you some of the hits and misses of the kit, but overall it's in good shape. So it is a used kit. This is the glass-nosed version. They did release a gun-nosed version of it as well. So, like I said, I'm going to be not going into too much detail here, just a quick overview of the kit. But I mean, as you can tell, it did have quite a bit of good detail. Lots of detail here in the cockpit area. So I mean, it really wasn't a bad model. It still isn't. For its age, it has definitely held up to the test of time. It has some issues, like I said. I'll be going over a lot more in my reviews page. So if you do want to see a real in-depth look, but I mean, considering the kit is effectively, 40 odd years old, it's in relatively good shape. There's no parts missing. Everything is still on the trees. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty impressed with how this kit turned out in terms of the fact that everything is still here. So anyways, it is a very interesting kit. As I said, it is the glass-nosed version. They did make a gun-nosed version, which I am trying to track down. I would like to have one of each. Prices of these have gone down significantly in the past little while due to the ICM release. They released their own versions of this kit. So it's a brand new tool, all the modern technologies that go into the models. So these have been effectively being offloaded by a lot of people who have them in their collection. So they can be going for relatively low amounts of money. I only paid $25 for this. So in the grand, considering they want $100 for the new kit, it's definitely worth it. So you've got good glass bits. It does have the bubble canopy. There was a difference between the early and late style A26 canopies, and this is the later style. Has a bit of more a clear canopy and a bit of a bulbous look to it, a blown hood look. Little disappointed in the fact that you can't have the cockpit open. Normally this side panel would open up. Doesn't give you that option. But beggars can't be choosers. You got the decal sheet here, standard monogram decal sheet. Not too much to complain about. It does seem to be a misprint when it comes to the characters here. It looks like some of the colors are missing. There's some shadows and whatnot that are missing. Looks like so there was a. It looks like they included a fix. I don't know if this was the previous owner who found this or if this was included in the kit because of the issues. I'll zoom in here and you'll actually be able to see. So that is what came in the kit, and then this is the aftermarket, not the aftermarket, but the replacement. So you can see there's definitely a yellow missing. The yellow looks a lot brighter in here. The blues are much deeper blues. And then you can look in the character over here, the leg, the shadows in the leg, her hair, the brown. So there's something that wasn't printed correctly here. So you can see like the hair, the shadows on the leg, again, the shadows on the leg over here. So there's something that wasn't printed right in these, and so you get a second set to help you. So, I mean, glad they did that. I'm probably going to end up doing aftermarket decals on this. I have to take a look and see what is out there and go from there. So the instructions are your standard monogram instructions from that era. Simple callouts. There's no FS numbers or these are all the exact colors that testers would have had on their paint colors. So isn't quite as detailed as you would see on a kit today. And the instructions are relatively simple. Callouts are just basic callouts. There's no, detail about, for example, on the control stick, right? Painting black on the handles and all the instrument panels, all the different detail. Like, they don't include that. It's a very basic kit in that sense, but the detail is there for those who want to go through and detail it up later. So you do have quite a bit of detail. Like the interior gunner's compartment here is relatively detailed. It does come with bomb racks and bombs, all your turrets that get assembled. So you get a good look at what the turrets would have looked like. You got both. You get the wing packs, the guns that fit underneath the wings, as well as, I believe, does it include the in-wing guns? I don't believe it does. This one does not include the guns in the wings. Some versions did have guns in the wings. This one doesn't appear to include them. So yeah, like I said, it is relatively detailed, all things considered. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it. It's a good addition to my stash. Like I said, I'll probably come up with some aftermarket decals for this. See what I can come up with. But for what it is, I've always wanted an A26 literally since I was a kid. It's always been on my list of kits to buy. I've always loved the look of the A26. I've just never really managed in my life to get around to getting one. So here we go. Now that I have no time and no place to put it, I decided to build one. But anyways, so there you go, A26 Invader. Very happy to have one of these included in my collection. So timing worked out quite well, and I actually received the other A26 model that I was waiting for. It's just a couple of hours after I filmed that first segment on the A26C, and I received the Revell A26B. So this one was also one I found used. I paid about $30 Canadian for this. There was some shipping involved in that, so it bumped the price up a little bit. But it also came with a couple of Tamiya paints, some glue, and a couple of paint brushes. So the glue and the paint I'm going to give to my dad. The paint brushes I have kept and I'm going to use for some weathering, as I was actually looking at buying some weathering brushes. So in the grand scheme of things, this worked out roughly the same price as the glass-nosed C model. So the plastic you get in this kit is basically the same as what you get in the glass-nosed kit. The main sprues here are exactly the same. The only real difference is that the fuselage halves have the nose section cut off. So where normally this would have that little bump out for the glass part, it's cut right at the main panel line where it normally would in the real airframe, and you have a solid nose provided for you. So other than the difference in the fuselage halves, the main sprues are exactly the same, right down to the point that on the one sprue, you're actually still given the Norden bomb sight that you were provided in the other kit, even though you wouldn't have used it. And the cockpit floor, there's a spot where you need to cut and break off the forward section of the cockpit floor to allow you to add that solid nose. So part of the extra, so you get 4 small extra sprues in this kit that you don't receive in the glass nose kit. So other than the difference in the fuselage halves with the cut down nose section, all of the other extra different parts that you need to build the solid nose are included on extra sprues. So the first one is the one with the solid nose. So this is the early style 8-gun nose. So you can see it actually would be looking this way. It's got 2 machine guns on one side and 4 machine guns on the other, so it's a 6-gun nose. Later versions had an 8-gun nose that were oriented vertically, very similar to how the late model B-25s were mounted. So this includes the solid nose, the machine guns for that, the turrets and the guns that are for the turrets for your upper and lower turrets. So this does include the lower turret, which, as I said, was weird that the glass nose version had the turret in the instructions but not in the kit, whereas this one does have the lower kit. It also includes chocks in case you want to do a diorama, I guess. I'm going to save those for another kit. If I ever do another kit diorama, I have some chocks. So you include that. You get a new set of wheels. These ones have the weight on wheels flat area that you would normally see when an aircraft is sitting. I did notice they are a different diameter from the ones that were provided earlier, so I don't know whether the larger original or the smaller new wheels are accurate. I gotta do research on that, but you do get the weight on wheels, weighted wheels. You also get a sprue of rockets, so you can do the underwing rockets, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 underwing rockets, so the later versions would have carried the rockets. And you get the sprue here. It also includes the 3 pilots as well as bulkheads for the landing gear, forward and rear bulkheads for the main landing gear nacelles. So So effectively, for those of you who don't know the history, the glass-nosed C model that I just reviewed was the first boxing of this kit, and then later on it was reboxed in the Pro Modeler line with the gun nose. So this was a Pro Modeler line, and that is why you also have the chocks and the pilot characters and the weighted wheels. These were all the extra parts that were included in Monogram's Pro Modeler line for the higher level modeler. And you have all the parts. And you also get the clear parts, which are slightly different as it has the earlier style canopy. So yeah, it includes the earlier style canopy, as the gun nose version was actually released and was produced before the glass nosed version. So the earlier versions of these were these gun nose versions that had the earlier style. It's a flatter canopy and it's got extra framing built into the windows, so it's a bit more of a tighter fit around the canopy, and pilots had complained. So the later version of the A26 that had the glass nose had that bulged canopy that you saw in the other one. But other than the canopy parts, it also includes the separate window. So it's got the opening where the canopy would open up, and you have the separate piece here to have it in the open position. So other than that, the rest of your clear pieces are the same as the previous boxing. So the decal options, go through the instructions just quickly so you can see. First step here, it shows you how to cut the forward bomb-bay area out, or the bombardiers area out, in order to shorten the cockpit section for the gun-nosed version. As well, you've got the instructions on how to build the turrets, the lower turrets. Other than that, I forgot to mention, this also has the 3 machine guns in the wings. As I mentioned earlier, the previous version didn't. This one does. So you got the bulkheads in the nacelles for the forward and rear. And then other than that, the build-up is roughly the same. Installing the rockets for the military version, you also got the gun packs depending on what you prefer to do, whether you do the gun packs or the rockets. And then the installation of the gun nose. The decal options do include a civilian scheme, so you can putty and fill all of the gun holes in the nose if you do the civilian version. And other than that, here's the section where it shows you how to do the cockpit with the open or closed depending on how you want it, and the chocks, and then you've got your props, and then how to paint your characters. And other than that, so you've got your 2 schemes. This particular scheme is from a museum, so I don't know how accurate it is. I'm going to do more research on that. And then this is the air spray water bomber version that was usually based out in Red Deer, Alberta, here in Canada. So it gives you the options to do it up as that. So those are your 2 decal options. I'm going to go in a little bit more in depth on this when I do my model review. So again, keep an eye out for that. It should be one of the first ones I release, and I'll be doing both just similar to how this was, the glass nosed and the gun nosed A26s will both be reviewed together. Okay, and here we go, guys. I got the last 2 products I'll go over for this update. There are 3 decal sheets that I ordered a while ago from Caracal. A couple of sheets were the last few in stock, as well as a couple they had on sale. So we'll go over them now. I'll start with the main one that I was going for when I placed this order, and that is their 1/48 scale CH47. Chinook series. So this particular one, a lot of decals for the Chinook out in 1/48, and this particular one does include a couple of schemes that I'm interested in, hence why I bought it. So it is a very, very extensive sheet. So I'll go through the instruction sheet first, show you what those options are, and then we'll go over the decals themselves. So as it says, it's a CH7 Chinook. There are 17 different marking options included in this set. So like I said, very, very extensive. It is printed in by Cartograph. Cartograph is a very high-end decal producer, so the quality is going to be amazing on these. And the decal sheets themselves, or the instruction sheets, sorry, are actually quite well detailed. So the first 2 pages here are all U.S. Army aircraft. So starting in the top left corner, you've got aircraft 12-08884. These are all CH-47Fs, by the way. Italeri does make an F model in 1/48, so all of these options are possible. So as I said, option 1, you've got 12-08884, and then you've got 15-08178. You've got 16-08202, 09-08069, 13-08436, 08-08056, 13-08140, and 10-08808. So they're all the same tan color that the current US Army CH-47s are on. All of them also have some sort of a unit designator on the rear pylon. It doesn't have unit numbers marked down on here. I do know for a fact that I believe this one here is from the Ohio Army National Guard. As for the rest, couldn't actually tell you for sure what units they are. So those are the first 8 options. Moving on to the next 7 options. We have 2 more US Army ones, a 10-08082 and 14-08155. This next one, although it does look like a US Army option, it is actually an Australian Army option. So it comes with the Australian roundel as well as the Australian identifier on the tail. And it is aircraft A15-303, and it's in the same tan color as the US Army. Next up, we have a Royal Air Force Chinook HC-4, which is their RAF, or the RAF equivalent of a CH-47F. So this is aircraft ZD983. It also has the RAF 100 logo on the tail from when they had their 100th birthday. I believe the RAF 100th was 2 years ago. 2018, I want to say. Maybe wrong on that. I believe it was 2018 when they had the 100th anniversary. So it's marked up in that. I do believe there's also an Italeri version of the HC-4 out there, or it might even be in the same box as the F. It comes with all the extra. Basically, the only difference is a couple of sensors on the nose and a bunch of antennas. Everything else would be the same. The next 3 options are really the reason why I bought this sheet. And they're the 3 CH-47D models that Canada picked up used and used in Afghanistan. So you've got aircraft 147201, 147205, and 147206. So the first batch of Chinooks, which the Canadians we call the CH-147. The first batch were numbered in the 100 series. This batch that we got for use in Afghanistan were numbered in the 200 series, and most of them were returned to the US Army or actually just sent to the boneyard. There was one, I believe one of them went to the Air Force Museum in Trenton, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know that they did get one of the nose panels that they were recovering for static, but I don't know if they got the entire airframe or just the nose panel with the nose art on it. But they do include nose art. I'll zoom in on the decal sheet and show you what they look like in decal form instead of on the artwork here. But you do get those 3 options with nose art from the Royal Canadian Air Force in Afghanistan. And then the last 2 options are, again, are Canadian options, but they're Canadian F models, the CH-147F. And these were all numbered in the 300 series. So you got 147304 and 147311. All of the current Chinooks in Canada are flown by 450 Squadron, based in Petawawa. And this particular aircraft here, 311, includes the UN markings. I believe we were in a mission in Mali where we had the Chinooks in Mali. So these were done by up in the UN markings on the tail. The next page is the stencils page. So it gives you all the details on that, and on the back it shows you some of the walkways on the top, as well as the aircraft that do have any forward decals on the nose section. They're included. That includes the one of the US Army versions, the Australian Army version, as well as all 5 of the Canadian versions have markings on the nose. So overall, it's a really nice sheet. I do want to use this time to preface it with the fact that the 2 Canadian F models cannot be built as is with any current kit. And there's a few reasons for that. One of them is it does have the later style nose with the radar in it. So if I zoom in here for a second, you look at an earlier one, you'll see where it's got a blunter nose with the windows. Sorry for the camera shake. It's got the blunter nose with the windows, including the Canadian D models. You can see it's got the blunter nose, whereas the F models have this pointier nose and it has the radar in the nose. So right off the bat, that I believe is not included in the kit. The bigger issue isn't actually marked on this decal sheet, and that's the fact that the sponsoons here on the Canadian version are significantly larger. They come up about halfway up the windows, and they're cut out around the windows. And they stick out quite a bit more. They're actually extremely large fuel tanks. I think they're roughly twice the capacity of a standard Chinook. And they were designed specifically for the Canadian Chinook to have longer range on them, considering how large Canada is and how much of it is empty. So those sponsoons are currently not available in a 1/48 scale model. So whether they'll come out Belcher bits, Mike Belcher has done a lot of Canadian conversion content for models. Hopefully he'll come out with something in the future. If not, you might be SOL trying to make up something on your own. But hopefully that stuff comes out soon and we will see a conversion out there for the F model. But as it is, these two Canadian markings, the modern F model in the RCAF scheme, cannot be built because of that problem. So those are the decals you get, all 17 possible schemes. Looking at the decal sheet, we'll start with the standard stencil sheet. So this includes all of the, upside down, all of the standard stencils and warnings and cutouts around the windows, and then you get a lot of the walkways. There is one walkway, if I go to the back here, the one long walkway on the length of the top will have to be done in paint, but it does give you the few that go up around the pylon, so you're able to put those in place and then mark off and paint the rest of the walkway as it goes down. So there's quite a bit included. You get all the lines here for your steps and everything, and it's a very extensive sheet. So those are your stencil markings, and then this is the main decal sheet. So up top here you have all of your markings that are going on your pylons, all your specific to each version, your serial numbers and your little block data numbers. You got the Royal Air Force stuff with all of its markings, and then you have the section with the Canadian in here with the different versions. So the D models had a thicker stencil Canada, the F models have a thinner. Other than that, you also have all of the different markings you need, and a couple of extra numbers in here in order to cut and paste and make the proper serial numbers. And at the bottom you have the Australian numbers that go with that. So I'll quickly zoom in here and you can get a look at the nose art for the Canadian. So the first one here is Misbehaving, which is the scantily clad woman. It's a very cool, I'm always a big fan of scantily clad women on my airplane models. It's just, I guess, a carryover from my interest in World War II. World War II nose art and whatnot. So there's that. Probably my favorite one here is Two for Hooking. So I guess the aircraft came from the US Army with this pretty standard skeleton that existed on, I guess it's a very common, I guess, 1930s cartoon. I'll see if I can find a picture and throw it up here to show you what the this character would have looked like originally. But then the Canadians obviously modified it. Instead of a walk, I believe he held a walking cane. It was placed with a hockey stick. It's got the hockey helmet, and then it's Two for Hooking. So for those of you out there who may not know hockey, hooking is a penalty that can be called in hockey, where you actually use the hockey stick to hook the player, usually around the waist, and slow him down or pull him back. So Two for Hooking is just, it's a 2-minute penalty for hooking. So it's a cool little play on that. And then the last one's Jacked Up. For anybody who is a fan of liquor, you can do the Jacked Up nose art. Not a big fan of that one. It's pretty blasé and bland. I am a big fan of Two for Hooking. I think if I do it, I will do that one just because of the Canadiana aspect of it. So overall, like as I said, Cartograph, beautifully printed decals. No complaints at all. Caracal, as always, comes out with the most amazing decal sheets, and yeah, I mean, if I could, I would use all of his sheets because they are the best quality, well researched, well done. I am not being paid for any of what I'm saying right now, but hey, if you want to pay me, I'll gladly take some free decal sheets to review. So moving on, I have 2 more of his sheets. This one was one of the few that were, it was actually on sale. To get, I guess he was trying to move some stock. So it's just a T-34 mini craft, came out at 1/48 T-34, and this is a sheet he did. So it's the international customers. There weren't a lot of international customers on the T-34. Some preliminary research has told me that I guess it had some very serious stability issues, so it was not used by very many air forces, and effectively this sheet only includes markings for Japan. There's 5 for Japan, 1 for the RCAF, and 1 for the Turkish Air Force. So we'll go through them here, what they have. So the first one is aircraft 410303, and it is, I believe it's a silver, yeah, so it's a natural metal over a yellow scheme. The next one, option 2, is effectively the same scheme, which is 710418. Also, all of these are the Japanese Air Self-Defense Force. So it's effectively the same scheme as the one above it. Yellow over natural metal, and it's got a red spinner. Your wings would be this top one here, natural metal with a yellow stripe or strip across the leading edge of the wing. The front half of the wing is yellow. The back half of the wing would be sort of the chrome yellow, same color you would see in World War II trainers. The third option, again, Japanese, this is the Maritime Self-Defense Force, so sort of the naval air arm that they had. It's painted in a flat gold gray with, I believe, orange. Yeah, with orange detailing on the tips of the fins and on the tips of the wings. So this is aircraft 9004. This is a Japanese Army aircraft, so it is aircraft JG0508, and it is actually painted up in an olive drab scheme, again with the yellow tips. This is another Army aircraft. It is painted completely orange, which is a very cool scheme. If I did not have the Canadian option, that would be what I would be painting, just for the different look. As I said, again, I'm usually a fan of different, so that's that option. The next one is the Canadian Air Force one, which is all bare metal with the yellow vertical and horizontal stabs, and then it also has yellow trailing edges instead of the leading edge that the Japanese would have done. As I said, we did not have very many of these, but again, it's a pretty cool scheme. And then finally, the Turkish Air Force, the Canadian one is 24205, and then the Mentor at the bottom is the Turkish Air Force one, and it is 2-214, which is its serial number, and it is all, I believe, it's in all bare metal with very few markings, just basically bare metal. So those are the options. The decal sheet itself is pretty basic. There's no stencils or anything. It is just strictly what you need to do the markings. So all of the specifics for each aircraft in the Japanese markings, the Japanese roundels, then the Turkish, and then the Canadian. You also get the markings ability to do 24211, so you are able to cut out and add the 11, so you can do, they're basically the same scheme, but it does give you that option to do two different Canadian versions. So I don't have the Minicraft kit, but I'm a fan of Canadian content, so that was something I picked up, because you never know when I might eventually find a T-34 down the road on a swap meet or a used kit somewhere. So that's always good to have stashed away somewhere, because when they become unavailable, it never fails that I see decals, they're around everywhere, I don't buy them, I then eventually get the model, and then I can never find the decals. So I figured I'd jump at the gun, get the decals now, do it down the road. If I don't use them, I can always sell them or trade them or give them away. You know, it is what it is. Final sheet's a T45 sheet. I have the Kinetic T45 kit. Not a fan of the generic inbox decals. I've always wanted to do one of these. I was hoping to get his, Caracal did a great set of the U.S. Navy Centenary decals where they had a bunch of these painted up in old markings. Could not find that sheet for the life of me. However, this one is definitely a little bit cooler than most. It has two aircraft included. So they're both here on the back. So one of them is aircraft 165624 from TW1 reserve component. So it's got the band says Salty Dog, which is the name of the unit, the call sign for the unit, and then on the tail there's like a dog leaning on the tail marking, smoking. So it's a cool, you know, different type of look. But the one I specifically went for is this one down here, 165088 from VT9 Tigers, based at NAS, Naval Air Station Meridian, Mississippi. So this aircraft, again, being called the unit called Tigers, the fuselage band has tigers in it. It has the tiger stripes on the vertical stabilizer, and it's got a shark mouth, or I mean, I guess it's a tiger mouth, but it looks more like a shark mouth on the nose. So again, different. Looking forward to doing up that. You also have the instructions for all of the stencils that you need. Very well done, very well laid out, very well researched. So again, very happy with his product. This has also been printed by Cartograph, so I know the quality is good. First one is the only black decals here, and it's got all the serial numbers in the Navy and all of your little things like that on here. And it looks like you actually get enough decals to do two full airframes, so you can actually do both. So you have all the extra navies you need, two for the fuselage, one for the wing, all the different duplicate markings you need, and then on the main decal sheet, you're also included a full double set of stencils. So double set of stencils, double set of roundels, the bands, everything you need to do the two different versions. It's also nice, they cut up the nose, so you have one for it on the ground, and if you do it in flight, it's cut apart, so you have the sections that go on the nose gear doors are pre-cut, so you're not messing around with that later. So that's a nice touch that you also have enough decals to do both full aircraft, which is good because you tend to only build one. So I will have a full second set down the road, so if anybody does need a second set, I have the ability to trade off or sell off or give away or even get a second kit and do it up in a second scheme if I wanted to. So again, you know, you find a cheap kit somewhere, you know, partially built or missing decals or what have you, I have a set of decals to go ahead and finish it. So you never know when people are out looking for stuff online, and I have the full options here to do two full airplanes. So nice touch with them. So that's it for my my reviews this week. Those are the items, the two A26s and my three sets of decals. So as always, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.